coming up on the February 26th edition of Carolina Week.
Recent tragic events in Chicago and Rhode Island nightclubs have people in Chapel Hill rethinking their nightlife.
And normally it'd be okay for the Chancellor to wear blue, but Wednesday he should have worn red, but no one told him. We'll explain.
Women's sports are changing because many universities are unable to meet all the requirements of Title IX.
All that and more.
Carolina Week starts now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening, I'm Alex Lawson.
And I'm Jenny McClendon. Thanks for joining us. Our top story tonight, just about a week after a fire claimed 97 lives at a Rhode Island nightclub, some Chapel Hill residents are wondering how safe are the area bars and clubs.
Carolina Week's Aaron Mesmer tries to provide some answers.
When the weekend rolls around, Chapel Hill bars and nightclubs fill up fast. So last week's Rhode Island nightclub fire has some students nervous.
I guess I'm a little anxious if it's crowded and I take note of the exits more.
Chapel Hill Fire Marshal Capris Mellon says there are precautions in place to prevent against such a tragedy.
It sounds like a lot of different groups ignored the fact that there is a permitting process required for a fireworks display. The state of North Carolina has the same process.
Cat's Cradle manager Derek Powers makes sure there are no pyrotechnics on his stage.
Bands submit contracts prior to the show, and we always go over them, make sure there's no pyrotechnics listed.
Part owner of Avalon Nightclub, Daniel Markscheid, says he takes all the necessary precautions to ensure safety.
Our fire extinguishers are placed in the proper locations. They're inspected once a year. We make sure that the exits are clearly marked. The exit signs are lit.
Unlike most night spots in Chapel Hill, Avalon has a sprinkler system, but Mellon says the lack of one wasn't the main problem in Rhode Island.
I think it was just the fact that everybody tried to use the same exit that they went in.
Most nightclubs and bars, like Bubba O'Malley's, have people at the door checking IDs and keeping track of the number of people entering the establishment to control the crowd should something happen. And if a fire breaks out, Markscheid offers this simple advice.
Be aware of your surroundings. Try to use some common sense. If there's a fire, if there's a problem, just know how to get out.
But for now, most owners and managers in Chapel Hill say you'll be just as safe inside their establishments. In Chapel Hill, I'm Aaron Mesmer, Carolina Week.
Mellon also says she's considering giving a seminar to teach management and staff about emergency procedures.
In this week's Speak Out segment, we asked students if their opinions of clubs have changed as a result of the recent disasters.
A few times I've thought about the Cradle, and I realize now, the Cradle really can get kind of packed, and there's not too many exits, it seems like. So if there was some sort of a fire or something, I could see the Cradle being a dangerous situation. But for the most part, I fear the bars and clubs in town are fairly safe.
Sometimes I think about what could happen, but I try not to let stuff like that bother me. And if I feel like a situation is going to get too out of control, if I feel like something bad's going to happen, I'll get out of it quick.
We know things are dangerous. A lot of times we go out there during parties and different things like that where we understand that there's going to be a lot of people, and we bear the brunt of responsibility as far as that.
Our sample isn't scientific and should be taken as a reflection of widespread opinion on campus.
For the second time in less than 24 hours, Carolina has come up short against NC State, this time because of cans. Beat Hunger Beat State, the month-long food drive contest between the two schools, wrapped up yesterday, with Carolina finishing 1,000 cans short of State's final total. Because of a prior agreement, Chancellor Measer must now wear red for a day. Measer said on Wednesday he didn't know about Carolina's can loss, but will reluctantly follow his word to wear red.
Well, it's really disappointing. Obviously, it's a very good cause, and we're glad we did it. We issued the challenge. I was counting on the greater commitment of Carolina students to outweigh their greater numbers, but their numbers obviously kicked in, and they had roughly 1,000 more cans than we did. So I'll have to be, put on. It's like putting on sackcloth and ashes to wear NC State red.
The Campus Y, which sponsored the event, says it doesn't know when Measer will carry out his red promise.
If you didn't get a chance to donate cans for Beat State Beat Hunger, then you'll still have a few more chances. The Hunger Lunch organization on campus is serving up lunch for students to help them become more aware of global malnutrition. Campus Y is sponsoring the event. $3 gets you a plate full of coleslaw, beans, and bread, which is more than what most people around the world get each day. There will be 5 more Hunger Lunches before the end of the semester.
Graduation is quickly approaching, and if settling down and starting a family is one of your goals, you might want to consider staying in the Triangle. Places rated Almanac rates our area tops for education. The ratings are based on local school funding, the mix of private and public schools, the student-to-teacher ratio, library popularity, degrees offered by local colleges, and college options for local residents. The Triangle area, including Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, made a perfect score, beating out several other major cities. The rest of the top 5 includes Boston at number 2, followed by Albany, New York, St. Louis, Chicago, and Rochester. The Triangle received a perfect score mainly because of good local school funding and because it's home to both Duke University and UNC Chapel Hill.
The Triangle is also known for its entertainment. One popular event is the Carolina Jazz Festival. It began on February 12th and runs through March 1st. The events this weekend will be in Hill Hall Auditorium. Now, this weekend's events include the 10th anniversary of the North Carolina Jazz Repertory Orchestra Big Band Bash, which will be Thursday at 8 p.m. Now, on Friday, there will be a free concert at 4 p.m., Fred and Gail Faring Jazz Series. Also on Friday, Charlie Hayden and the Quartet West at 8 p.m. And on Saturday, the UNC Jazz Band will play at 8 p.m., and that's free for students.
For more than 30 years, Title IX has given women increasing opportunities in sports. Friday, the Bush administration's Title IX Commission will submit its recommendation that the gender equity law be made less rigid. Reporter Amanda Yarusi tells us what Title IX has done for Carolina athletics.
Athletics administrators and coaches agree. The university has succeeded in meeting 2 of the 3 components of the law. Senior Associate Director Beth Miller says Carolina provides increasing opportunities for women and meets student athletes' interests and abilities. But proportionality, the controversial component, requiring the percentage of male and female athletes to mirror that of the general student body, isn't likely under the current structure.
We're not going to meet proportionality with the student body enrollment of 60% women unless we totally revamped our athletic programs.
Head wrestling coach Bill Lamb says he supports Title IX, but is opposed to the proportionality component.
If we were to go to Carolina and be in proportion, we would have men's basketball and men's football, and every other sport would have to be women's, and we still would not be in proportion.
Though participation isn't proportional at Carolina, coaches and administrators agree the university has been proactive in providing women with opportunities throughout the past 30 years, including adding women's lacrosse in 1995 and women's rowing in 1997.
We're committed to giving, equal opportunities to both the men and the women in our Olympic sports programs.
The university offers 28 sports, so funding is a huge concern. But head gymnastics coach Derek Galvin says he doesn't think any Carolina sports are in danger.
I can't imagine within the environment that I've seen here over the last 22 years that we would start dropping programs, men's or women's.
While the future of Title IX remains unclear, Carolina administrators and coaches say they're dedicated to providing opportunities for student athletes, both male and female. In Chapel Hill, I'm Amanda Yarusi, Carolina Week.
45% of Carolina's athletes are female. For the percentage of women athletes to be in proportion with student body enrollment, which is 60% female, the university would have to add 120 female athletes.
More troops from North Carolina are being deployed to the Middle East.
And Colin Powell is in China trying to gain support. We'll have the latest details about preparations on the home front, abroad, and the war against terror when we return.
So I was just thinking, just trim the ends just a little
I got it from here, Monsieur Salon type guy. Hey, today everybody is Pixie Cut Day. We're gonna take it real short and then we're gonna dye it. Jet black, the look that says, I scribble dark lyrics in my journal.
No, Pixie Cut.
It just says, I've got issues.
I don't have issues.
Well, you will after this haircut. Pixie Cut it is.
I
Yes.
don't want a pixie cut.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Cuida a tu familia. No tomes y manejes.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. Here are the latest headlines from the home front, abroad, and the build-up to war. More than 300 airmen from North Carolina air bases are heading to the Persian Gulf along with some fighter planes. Meanwhile, the Turkish government is debating whether to allow the U.S. to bring in more than 60,000 troops. Secretary of State Colin Powell is in China trying to gain more support for a possible war with Iraq. China wants another UN resolution before any military action. And in Iraq, as UN inspections continue, Saddam Hussein says if there's a war, he'd rather die than leave his country.
The Department of Homeland Security now has a new website, ready.gov, which recommends buying duct tape and plastic sheeting to protect against bioterrorist attacks. Local experts disagree about whether these items are effective. Carolina Week's Brad Lewis has the story.
We have all of these supplies pre-positioned.
Scott Madry is the disaster committee chair for the Orange County Red Cross. He'd be on the front lines in the event of a biological attack. Madry and the Red Cross stress preparedness, whether for a biological attack or a natural disaster.
So in my house, we have several fire extinguishers, we have a supply of water, canned goods, we have several battery-powered radios and flashlights, and we have a supply of duct tape. We have duct tape and plastic sheeting.
The new Department of Homeland Security website, ready.gov, recommends having supplies to create a shelter-in-place. A shelter-in-place is an interior room that's sealed off from outside air that might be contaminated. This is what your shelter-in-place would look like. One problem is infectious particles can enter through air ducts. In addition, your shelter must be large enough to provide enough oxygen for you and your family for up to 3 days. This Chapel Hill True Value hardware store can barely keep duct tape and plastic sheeting on the shelves. Store clerk Antoinette Riley says people have made a real run on the items after government warnings.
They want to be safe. They don't want to be like 9/11.
Infectious disease specialist Michael Blocker says anthrax is just one threat listed as a Category A bioterrorism agent. Other threats include pneumonic plague, botulism, and smallpox.
Whether duct taping and plastic sheeting your house provides any additional protection versus just closing the windows and the doors is unknown.
Dr. Blocker says duct tape isn't on his shopping list. In Chapel Hill.
For more information about bioterrorist agents and bioterrorism protection, see the links on our website, carolinaweek.org.
UNC Chapel Hill has received $20 million from Dr. Fred Eshelman of Wilmington. The gift is the largest ever to a U.S. pharmacy school and the third largest single gift from an individual in the university's history. The $20 million gift also counts toward the Carolina First campaign goal of $1.8 billion. Eshelman says that donating money back to UNC is something all alumni should share.
All of us, I think, are a product of whatever our education was. I think it's everybody's responsibility to give back to some degree, whether it's time, money, or something else in between. And it was particularly gratifying for me because my daughter's starting college and she's expressed an interest in education.
Eshelman is a 1972 pharmacy graduate.
UNC Chapel Hill will offer a new undergraduate minor starting this fall called Writing for the Screen and Stage. Communication Studies professor and Hollywood producer David Sontag is responsible for creating the minor. Juniors with a GPA of 2.4 or better are eligible to apply for the program. Applications are due March 4th and must include an instructor's written recommendation and a writing sample.
Our weather anchor Jason Myers joins us now. Jason, it's looking kind of weary outside. It looks like it's something wintry is going to happen out there.
It has been very messy out there today, and be very careful too if you're going to be driving back tonight because the temperatures are going to continue to go down below freezing, and with the rain that we have, we'll probably have some freezing, so be very careful if you're going to be traveling. But let's go to our weather question, and then we'll talk about this weekend's forecast after the break. The curving motion of wind due to Earth's rotation is known as what? A, Coriolis effect, B, spring tide, C, sundogs, or D, squall line? I'll have the answer and this weekend's forecast after the break.
Mrs. Abruzzo, I'm here with the Neighborhood Watch. Yes. Yeah. Oh, no. I'm signing up people for the Neighborhood Watch.
You've made our dreams come true. You have your cameras here? Where are you going, Mr. McMahon?
I'm going to check with the lady next door. Yeah,
are you going to get the check?
Start a Neighborhood Watch. It's just one of the many ways you can help make America stronger. To find out how, call or log on for this free guide.
It's commonly found in the transverse segment of the colon with vascular congestion and smooth surface. Typically, the biopsy proved to be a tubulovillous adenoma.
It's a polyp! Why doesn't he just come right out and say it? It's a polyp.
Sir, do you mind?
Look at your textbook. Could I see that pointer?
We got one.
Stopping colon cancer is simple. Get the polyp early and stop colon cancer before it even starts.
Wait.
Just get the test.
I need the credits.
Get the polyp.
Attica!
Oh, shut up!
Get the cure.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. Cold temperatures and cloudy skies have been around this week, and students walking around campus have had to bundle up and bring out the umbrellas today. The rain, cold temperatures, and gray skies can start to make some people feel down, but when that happens, we just need to close our eyes and think happy thoughts. So when I think happy thoughts, I think about spring break, and there's going to be some nice temperatures around some areas. Some of the popular places like Cancun, Mexico, mid-80s. I was checking the forecast this week, partly cloudy, mid-80s to some upper 80s, so it's very nice in Cancun, Mexico. If you have an extra ticket, give me a call. I'd love to go. Key West, Florida, lower 80s. Daytona Beach, upper 70s, and Panama City, lower 70s. So it's going to be very nice if you're going to go to some of those popular places. Now, if we take a look at the weather, things are a little different around our neck of the woods. These clouds right here have been from a low pressure system that's to the in the Gulf of Mexico that's bringing a lot of moisture up to our area, and those clouds will be staying with us into the weekend. So we're going to see the mostly cloudy skies stay with us, but the rain will stop after the next couple of days. Now, if we look at our surface map, we can see some of the area of low pressure system here, but we also have this high pressure system. Now remember, when you have a high pressure system, you have clockwise motion, so we have some cold air that's coming down also. So the cold air and the combination of the moist air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico is what's giving us some of that freezing rain. And so that might be a thing to be very careful for if you're going to be traveling tonight and into Thursday. So that rain will be ending there Thursday, and as we get closer into the weekend, we'll see things look a little bit better with temperatures and not the rain. If we look at our forecast, we can see just that. The cloudy skies will be around, but temperatures will be better. 48 on Friday, and then 10 degrees cooler with 38 as our low. And then on Saturday, temperatures will be getting back to more normal temperatures. 52 will be our high on Saturday, 32 will be our low, so it'll still be cold Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we get into the 60s, 62 on Sunday, and 42 will be our low. Now on Monday, we could see some rain come into the forecast. We'll have a high of 55, so that rain coming in will bring the temperatures back down, and we'll have a low of 38. If you're going to be going to the beach, it's going to be nice there too. 58 on Saturday, partly cloudy skies, so the sun might be out at the beach. A low of 40. And then on Sunday, we might have some rain, but the temperatures will be nice, 65 degrees and a low of 45 degrees. If you're going to be going to the mountains, it's going to be a little cooler, a high of 45 on Saturday and then 28 and partly cloudy skies. Now Sunday, be careful if you're going to be traveling back late Sunday night from the mountains because there is going to be some rain, a high of 48 but a low of 32, so those temperatures can get pretty cold. And if you want to be going up to the mountains to do any skiing, all the trails are open, so it's very nice to go up there and get some skiing in before it starts getting too warm. So if there's just a couple of weeks left, so get out there if you're wanting to go skiing. But does anyone have an answer to our weather question?
Sundog sounds kind of interesting. What do you guys think? C?
I'll go for that.
We'll go with C.
That's a good try, but actually it's A, Coriolis effect. And that's just due to the Earth's rotation. It's known as Coriolis effect.
All right, now give us a Wednesday night forecast if you can. Are we going to See any freezing?
We could see some freezing, so we need to be very careful if we're going to be going out on the roads, especially bridges, overpasses, and even some trees and power lines could get some ice accumulation. We're looking at mostly 1/4 of an inch of ice, though, for accumulation. So not just too much, but we definitely want to be very careful about that. So be very careful if you're going to be traveling out.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks so much, Jason. Our very own sports anchor, Brittany McGraw, is here. Some spring is in the air. Some baseball's right here, isn't it?
Yes, actually, spring sports are well underway, even though it doesn't feel like it outside. But
true.
baseball is playing exceptionally well. They've gotten off to a hot start. They're undefeated, and they're ranked 20th in the nation.
All
So
right.
if there are any basketball fans out there who would like to see a winning team and want to soothe, any of their pains, I think baseball is a viable option.
All right.
And also coming up in sports, Tigers, Terrapins, and Wildcats have caused problems for the men's basketball team this season. We'll let you know how the Heels fared against a hungry pack of wolves.
Women today are fighting for their lives. More than half of the new HIV infections are among women, and if you don't think you're at risk, think again. I'm Rebecca Armstrong, and I am one of more than 1 million Americans living with HIV today. I got infected because I didn't think I was at risk, but I'm alive today because I got tested and I got treatment. Do yourself a favor. Get tested for HIV today. You can call this number for more information to find out where.
I am a Tar Heel born. I'm a Tar Heel bred. And when I die, I'm a Tar Heel dead. No one knows the real Carolina like a student. Carolina Week, the student news show.
Welcome back to Carolina Week Sports. It's must-win time for Tar Heel men's basketball. Carolina needed a win against rival NC State Tuesday to keep its NCAA hopes alive. The Wolfpack jump on top early, Josh Powell for 2, and he adds the free throw. But a Melvin Scott 3 keeps Carolina in it. Pack by 4 at the break. Second half, a David Noel slam heals up 6. But it's all about fundamentals. State hits all 22 of its free throws, while Carolina goes a dismal 7 for 19. Carolina's still up 2 until Julius Hodge nails the jumper to force overtime. Coach Matt Doherty can only watch, and State can't miss. Tar Heels lose 75-67, and Doherty knows why.
Foul shots, I think, tell the story. State made them all. We missed a bunch.
With the loss, the Tar Heels will most likely need an ACC tournament miracle to qualify for the big dance. In its first 4 games of the season, Carolina baseball has dominated the competition, winning by an average of 8 runs. The undefeated Heels look to increase that average against winless Appalachian State. In the bottom of the 5th, Carolina's Ryan Blake scores on a throwing error by Appalachian catcher Eric Pittman, and the Heels lead 6-2. Appalachian tries to storm back in the 9th, scoring 3 runs on the Heels. But it's too little too late as Carolina blows past the Mountaineers 10-6 and improved to 5-0 on the season. Carolina's matchup with Richmond, scheduled for Wednesday afternoon, will be postponed indefinitely because of the probability of bad weather. After a 34-point beating at Duke, the women's basketball team got what it needed, a game against 10-13 Coastal Carolina. And the starting lineups at guard, number 14, Coretta. Wait a minute, it's Jenny Loxonen. 3 Carolina players get their first career starts because of the poor play of the regular starters in the Duke game. After 4 minutes and a 7-7 score, the fun and games are over as Brown and friends check in and go on a 21-3 run. The Heels never look back as they take the game 80-48. Although there were no surprises in the women's basketball game, the men's tennis team had a few tricks up its sleeve as it took on undefeated and 11th-ranked Auburn. Carolina starts out slowly, dropping 2 of 3 to the Tigers in doubles play. On to the singles matches. Now, some may say 1 is the loneliest number, but how lonely can it be for the Heels when they're winning? Carolina sweeps 5 singles matches and earns a 5-1 win and an upset of Auburn. The Heels are now 4-2 on the season. Their next match is Friday at home against Gardner-Webb. Now, there's something to be said about beating ranked opponents. Going into Friday's matchup against number 25 Kentucky, 4 of the women's tennis team's 6 wins had come against teams in the top 35. The Wildcats win the doubles point to take on an early lead. Aniela Moshe steps into the number 2 spot for the Heels and wins her match 6-1, 6-2. Number 11 Kate Pinchbeck and unranked Lee Barrows also win their matches for Carolina. But losing that doubles point comes back to haunt them as the Cats take the other 3 singles matches and beat the Heels 4-3. The men's lacrosse season is underway. The team's first match Saturday against Bucknell was delayed more than an hour because of lightning. But the Heels would go on to win that game 13-3. Forget the meaningless practices, conditioning, and less than competitive exhibitions. The women's lacrosse team finally got things rolling this weekend against Davidson. Fighting a blustery win Sunday at Henry Stadium, the Heels don't need much help from Mother Nature in blowing out the Wildcats 14-1 in their 2003 opener. Junior Beth Ames scored her second of 4 goals as UNC takes a commanding 10-1 halftime lead. The Heels don't stop their offense after intermission, tacking on 4 more goals in the rout. Carolina now hits the road this weekend with games at Johns Hopkins and Maryland. And that's a review of sports this week at Carolina.
Okay,
All
thanks a
right.
lot, Brent. Well, a new season has begun.
And it's not a season you would normally think of. We'll tell you more when Carolina Week returns.
There's nothing more rewarding than bringing Carolina the news, but don't take our word for it. Carolina Week. Real news, real students, real quality.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Spring might still be a few weeks away, but a new season has begun.
Powwow season. Native Americans from more than 25 tribes in the Southeast converged at the School of Science and Math in Durham Saturday. The event was the first powwow of the 2003 season. Part family reunion, part church service, and part celebration. Powwows give Native Americans the chance to come together, sing, and dance.
More than 120 Native Americans showed off their traditional dances and costumes. In addition, several hundred people attended the powwow.
Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Have a good night.